What's up, Pinewood families? Today is Thursday, March 26th, and I want to take a few moments to go through some of the assignments that are scheduled for today. But before I do that, I want to remind you to be getting on Schoology. If you go to the remind messages that you've been receiving from me, the link is in there. It's warrenwoods.schoology.com. Two small issues that people have been having that hopefully this can help. The first one is that they've been going on a different browser, and so sometimes when it's not worked right away, that different browser has enabled them to get online and to do that. And the other one is that they've been just going to Schoology.com instead of the warrenwoods.schoology.com. All of our students are preloaded into there. So your student will be on there with the courses that they're enrolled, which basically just means Mr. Nitz's 5th grade AM class. The PM class is Mrs. Clark's class. And I think that will not work if you're in Mrs. Clark's class and you're watching this. You need to go to Mrs. Clark's 5th grade AM class, and that's where hers will be. The two courses, Mrs. Clark's class and Mr. Nitz's class, will probably be about 90% similar, but there could be some differences and important things that you need to know. So if anybody in Mrs. Clark's class is watching this, make sure you go in her AM class. Next, I've made changes in Schoology, so I know that many of you are still operating from this handwritten paper copy that we, Mrs. Clark and I, fought to get together for students on that last day that we were in school, but you're going to really want to get on that Schoology. Per my remind yesterday, I think I had about a dozen parents or students that had logged on to Schoology. I also know that that's on a 24-hour delay. It updates who's logged on every 24 hours or so. My hope is that today, by the end of today, I'll have almost everybody logged into there. Parents teach your students how to log into that. They're probably the ones doing at least the initial login because they need to tell you their password and username. And on that note, if you reply to me in the remind, I can give you your password and username if you've forgotten it. And so when you're on Schoology, you're going to notice some changes. So for example, today I've given some different assignments on the SMJ pages. For example, on page 7P, there's two problems on the bottom of the page that I'm just asking students to skip. So sometimes it will be work that I've added, but sometimes it'll be work that I've taken away. And so this will hopefully clarify some of the issues that you're having. One of the questions that's come up a couple times is the P pages in our SMJ. So if you look in the back of the SMJ, normal page numbers are just things like 168. But if you flip towards the back of the book is where you'll see all the pages that have a P in their page number, like there's 15P. And so they're in the back of the SMJ. That's where you want to look for those things to get yourself set up for success. So you're working in your SMJ today, a couple pages listed there. The reason that there's 3 pages for today is because you're only asked to do a couple of the problems on each page. So go on to Schoology and find out which ones those are. Otherwise, you're going to have to do them all unless you get on to Schoology. Next, you are watching the next episode in Liberty's Kids, and on the calendar, it shows only episode 11. But on the Schoology, either for yesterday or today, it talks about watching the missing episode, episode 10. Basically, I'm starting to skip a bunch of episodes, highlighting what I believed are the most important ones, but they're all good and they're all important. So I was only limiting it to 1 a day, but students, you can start to work ahead. If you look at the calendar, you'll notice that starting next Tuesday, for example, next Monday to next Tuesday, I skipped 10 whole episodes, and those will be great for students to watch and to learn from. So if you want to get ahead, now would be the time to start doing that. So watch 9 and 10, or 10 and 11, or even 10, 11, 12, all today. And if you want to get ahead of schedule, you can start to do that. As you are watching more episodes, you should be taking notes in your social studies notebook. Spy files, which are the important people. And over the last couple days, you should have added some more people, including those from the Battle of Bunker Hill, other people involved in the Continental Congress. Start taking some spy files notes for yourself there as well. Probably tomorrow or Monday, I might do an online quiz on Schoology that I'd like you to participate in and to complete with some of the social studies information that you could use your notes on. Also in science, the Mystery Science Mini Mysteries, those are those 5-minute call-ins where students have a question, something that they're curious about, that they call into Mystery Doug and he answers their questions. We want to get you watching as many of those as possible. Honestly, those are connected to our 5th grade science curriculum that Mrs. Clark teaches. But more importantly, it's just reminding students to think scientifically. How do we solve scientific problems? How do we gather information? How do we analyze information? And it's just good practice for them to do. This week, you are also writing a narrative writing piece. And this is your story that you've created. And you are entering, or you're writing the story based on our 5-finger retell that we've been practicing. So that is including the characters in the story, introducing your characters, telling what they're like, what they look like, what their personality style is, what are some of their character traits, including a setting. For most of them, this just includes where's the story taking place. Now, that doesn't mean just one sentence, this story takes place in Mexico, or this story takes place at school. We want to make sure that the setting includes more detailed information. What is it like there? What is weather like there? What kind of buildings are there? How many people are there? What's the full setting? The third one is the problem. So what is the problem that the characters in your story are encountering? Have you really described it? Does the problem kind of last for a while in the story? When you were a little kid and you read stories that had problems, usually they solved the problem within a page or two and everything was perfect, kind of the happily ever after. But problems as you get older, when you read and write stories, they're more complicated. They take a while to develop. They cause real pain and problems for the characters. Make sure that your problem is developed in your story. Next are the events. Now, this is such a general word, events, but these are the things that happen in the story. These are the things that happen related to the characters, related to the setting, especially related to the problem. What type of events caused problems for the characters? And then, most importantly, the events that are part of the characters handling the problem, dealing with the situation. What are they doing to make their life better, to improve, to solve the problem? And this all works us towards the resolution, which if you think about it is the word resolution. And that's that idea that people in the story are working towards a solution. So you should be at this point finishing your draft and revising it. Sorry, I'm sure that wind is creating some background noise out here. Next, you should be working on, let's see, we got reading, writing, science, math, social studies. That's about it. As I finish up the video today, reading Raz Kids, that's what I messed it up. You should be reading on Raz Kids today. Tomorrow I'll do another read aloud with Hatchet, so you can follow along with me there and follow in chapter 16 of Hatchet. I know Mrs. Clark's class is a couple chapters ahead of us, and that's okay, making sure to do those race questions. So to follow up and end the video today, I want to address a couple concerns that some parents and kids have had. I've been hearing the phrase doesn't count. And what I mean by that is some people have been wondering, why should I do any work? Why should my kid do any work if this doesn't count? And the quotation marks there are what some people have been saying is that, well, if it's not for a regular assignment or I'm not really at school, does this stuff even matter? Well, the answer to that is yes. Obviously, the purpose of school is not to have something count, not just to get a good grade, but the purpose of school and learning in general is to learn new things, to learn new skills, to practice skills. And so, in my opinion, all of this stuff that we're working on at home, it does count. So whether that means there's going to be a third quarter marking period report card or not, whether it'll just be all rolled into the fourth quarter marking period, whether it'll be how ready you are when school comes back in session, whether it means what you know how to do or what you know in general, what your skills are at, it's all going to count. And so I know that there's been stuff on media about some parents, mostly parents, who are wondering, you know, if this is so hard to do at home with my kid. I know that this has been very difficult for parents to basically start homeschooling their kids. That the opinion of, well, if it doesn't count, why should I even bother? My hope is that you have the attitude of, I want to improve. I want to learn more. I want to get better at things. I want to be successful, and that's your motivation. Because I know that I can't be there right next to you while you're working. I can't tell you that I'm going to take a grade on this quiz, or I can't tell you that I'm going to watch you while you're reading. Students, this is difficult. I get it. Parents, this is difficult. I get it. I'm trying to do everything I can remotely and virtually to help you, answering texts, all the way till the late hours of the evening, through the morning, through the afternoon. I want to be here whenever you need help. And so on that note, if you are texting me or sending me a reply in the remind, which is how it comes through on my phone as a text, I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. If I don't get back to you within the next 5 or 10 minutes and you are in the middle of helping your child with homework, maybe you can hit the pause button or skip it and go on to the rest of the assignment, and then maybe come back to that one when you get that assistance from me. Again, Schoology is going to be one of your best friends over the next couple of days or weeks. Make sure that you are logging in there. And again, if you have problems logging on, I've been able to troubleshoot with some people so far. Hopefully that can get you rolling and get you helping your student to get rolling for those parents that are working with their kids. Pinewood students, miss you. Hope you're doing great. And I don't think I'll wait a whole nother week until another YouTube Live. I feel like a lot of students are really enjoying that, and so we want to keep us connected and get us rolling. Have a great day.